can see this here. Sorry, this is all new to me. Let me see. Well, it looks like I am turned to the side. So let's see if this helps. Hold on. All right, we're gonna try this. iScrappers, Tom from the iScrap app. Today is Wednesday, March 25th, 2020. We hope that everyone is doing well, staying safe and staying healthy. We hope that you are, staying home. As you can see, I'm working from home this whole week. We have a couple of people that are in the office, in the yard, but we're not accepting any material from customers over at our scrapyard here in New Jersey. We are just doing everything remotely. Our office is working remotely. All of our team is working 10 to 15 feet apart from each other. This is just one of those crazy times where we're trying to do as little as possible on site and as much as we can. But in the scrap metal world, you're not able to move that much material off site because you can't telecommute and move scrap at the same time. So it certainly makes it a little more interesting for us. But if you have any questions while we're doing this live report, feel free to ask me. We'd love to get any of those answers to you. As you can see, I got a couple of different props behind me. Above is a ship that my grandfather made 30 years ago. This is a globe that I've had for about 32 years. So, little tidbits that I've had for years and years. I guess this way, I'm opposite here. I'm trying to figure out where everything is. Again, just because we run a technology company doesn't mean I always know what's going on with technology. So going Facebook Live or anything else is always a little different for me. But if you are asking questions, if you have any ideas, things you want to talk about scrap-wise, feel free to ask us, and we'll get you those responses as quickly as we can. So, what have we been doing? Where have the markets been? Where are they headed? Well, it's going to be a very difficult thing to really figure out considering everything that's going on right now. So let's start with a little bit of good news. We have seen the copper prices stabilize over the last few weeks. We did see a lot of people asking questions about where the market was, where the market was going to be going, how we were going to have the market doing different things, how it was going to react. And overall, we're very happy with how the market's reacted. We've seen a copper market that I thought was going to go another 20 to 30 cents below where it is. And right now, it's hovering at a level. Today, I'm looking here up 2.5 cents. Yesterday, we were up 8 or 9 cents. So these are good positive signs. There's a lot of things that we don't know yet. We don't know when we're going to get back to work. And a lot of the trading that's happening is going to be very difficult because we just don't know when a lot of scrap yards are going to get back to normal, when they're going to be up and running, when they're going to be able to be moving material. So these are a lot of things that we just don't know right now. And we're looking at the markets, we're trying to react to them. But as we've talked to many of our friends who either own or run scrap yards, it's been very difficult to figure out. And I see that we have a question here from Dylan's Electronic and Metal Recycling. Why are some scrap yards closing and some are not? So from what we can understand, scrap yards are an essential business because they are part of the recycling process. You need to move material, divert it from landfills, don't have too much waste building up. So we are considered essential. But what's happened here is we are trying to figure out what the right balance is. When you're dealing with dozens or hundreds of customers coming into your scrapyard every single day, and you are having your employees, kind of be open to all of these different people, we can do as many preventative measures as we can at Rockaway Recycling or at any other scrapyards. But one of the problems is we don't know how other people are going to be doing their health-wise. What if someone is sneezing all over the place, coughing all over the place? They did that to their metal before they put it in their truck, and now our employees, our team members are starting to touch this. We don't know how things are going to transmit, how they're going to transfer. We've been reading a lot of things about COVID-19 and how things can go from person to person, how long they can live on metal and cardboard and copper specifically. And we are taking the safe approach. The safe approach is we are trying our best not to have people coming into the yard, transmitting things, touching the ATM, the signature pads, the carts, the plastic bins, trying to tip different guys. They say that the virus could live on cash for 24 hours, and so many scrap yards are paying cash. The last thing that we want to do is subject our team or our customers to having any type of a sickness. So, at our scrapyard, we've been moving some commercial accounts where our drivers can pick up dumpsters and dump them out, but have very, very little, if any, interactions with people. Our team members are required to wear gloves. They're required to stay, 8 feet away from other people. We're doing our best to figure out what's right, because figuring out what's right is not that easy, because there's so many different things going on and so many people telling us what the right answer is. So we're just trying to figure that out as we go. Excuse me. So other things that we're looking for in the metal market-wise we'd like to talk about. We have seen the stock market rebounding yesterday. We saw a $2 trillion package get added to help many people that either are unemployed or helping small employers keep their staff on. So we'll see how that shakes out in the upcoming weeks and how that starts to get put into place. I was having a conversation earlier about a $2 trillion package and how it's going to affect everything. One thing it's going to do is add a massive amount of debt onto the already high United States debt market, so that's going to be a little tough. Our deficit is going to be, $2 to $6 trillion more than it already is. When you have open access to printing cash, you can do that, but there's no right answer right now. What we have seen is oil has continued to recede. We've seen some prices on gas. Average national price $2.09 or $2.07. We saw some prices down in Florida at $1.65 a gallon for regular, prices that we haven't seen in years. We talked about the copper prices being relatively strong, but scrap yards are probably going to have larger profit margins or larger margins right now, because we just don't know who we're going to sell to, or how quickly we're going to get paid, or where we're going to sell, or when we're going to sell. Lots of what ifs right now, and having what ifs is something that you do not want to have at any point in time. So we're watching this as closely as we can, trying to figure out what's going on with these markets overall, but it certainly is not an easy thing to figure out. Now, with the oil prices dropping the way that they have, we have seen steel prices get slashed by 50%. We saw some prices of light iron last week, $120, $140, $90, $165 for shred. We saw some of these really high prices, and right now we see some prices that are almost laughable. $22, $33, $44 a ton. Every single day we hear $20 to $30 drop per ton in the steel prices, and it's very difficult to see these markets taking a hit like they are, because we know that the recovery is going to be even harder to find, and it's going to take longer, because think about the domino effect that a lot of these different things have had on each other. The auto industry, accounting for 7% of the global demand in copper, have stopped making cars in the United States. If they stop making cars, not only did that copper stop flowing, the aluminum is going to stop flowing, the steel is going to stop flowing, and while they redivert their factories to helping to produce masks, ventilators, hospital beds, they will not be producing what they're meant to produce, which is cars, so that's going to make it a little difficult. And at the same time, you're going to be looking at this and you're going to say to yourself, okay, well, when will they start doing these things again? And again, that's something else that we don't know, and we're going to be watching very closely to see. You also see liquor manufacturers, kind of changing their process, and they're going from manufacturing liquor to be able to manufacturing hand sanitizer. And, it's incredible to see how different markets, how different industries can start to work with each other, how the national government can tap on the private sector to be able to help in such an emergency, such a time of need. I heard the president recently talking about, they're considering this, kind of a form of war, and that's why they're able to enable the Defense Act to be able to do a lot of the things that we're seeing. And, you see some of these states like New York and California and others doing drastic actions to try to limit the spread of this. And that's one of the reasons why scrapyards are not staying open, to help comply with their local and national governments and curb the spread of this, because we do have so many people coming in every single day. And the last thing that we need is to be able to have people getting more sick than they already are. So those are some of the things that we have been looking for, both as scrapyard owners and then as iScrap, talking to so many people. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to domino from this entire thing. There are going to be new businesses that are created that are virtual businesses. At the same time, there's going to be a lot of businesses that unfortunately fold up. And when they fold up, they might not come back. Whether it's your local deli, your local coffee shop, your mom and pop hardware store. Even if they are deemed essential businesses, if other people are not doing work, it's going to make it really, really difficult to be able for them to make money and continue moving on. Many people think that, if you own your own business, it's all, rainbows and hearts. But what it isn't is, it isn't stressful. It is always going to be a problem. It's a common misconception that owning your own business means you have less stress because you're the person in charge. Oftentimes, you have more stress because other people rely on you. And many small business owners, they're working and they create a job for themselves, and it's hard for us as business owners to be able to stay positive and to keep our employees motivated during really tough times. At Rockaway Recycling, our employees, unfortunately, a couple of them are going to be let go because we're going to have such a slowdown, but we've been so positive and optimistic, trying to keep as many people on and working and getting certifications as we can, but we haven't been taking material in from customers, so we're not getting a feel of what's going on out there because our doors are literally, physically, and metaphorically closed to the public. So it's very difficult to see what's going on right now. And if you have any questions while we're talking about this, feel free to ask. Now, a couple of markets that we've been watching very closely that we've been talking about over the last few weeks: catalytic converters, gold, copper, oil, different commodities like that, iron. What I just pulled up on my screen, I wanted to see where some of the gold prices are. We had gold prices that were approaching highs that we saw back in 2008, 2009 during the financial crisis, where gold topped out around $1,880 an ounce. Today we're at $1,638, but yesterday there was a $100 an ounce rebound, meaning that gold prices shot up because a lot of uncertainty, where people were still continuing to put their money in gold in a relative safe haven compared to what so many other places are. And it's been very interesting to see how different markets have reacted. Now, how is that going to affect your electronic recycling? It's going to be a very difficult thing because most electronic recyclers that are going to be selling gold, they are not going to be looking to get too aggressive with their markets right now. They're going to be kind of taking a little bit of a chill pill, hanging back a little bit and seeing what's going to happen. Now, we know that the majority of you are not recycling electronics, so we're going to get back to the meat and potatoes, the copper, the aluminums, the brasses. But another specialty industry that we talk about often is the catalytic converter industry. At rrcats.com, we've been buying cats, and we haven't stopped buying cats. And we've seen such a pullback in the market the last few weeks, with rhodium falling 70%, platinum, palladium down 30, 40, 50%. We've seen a rebound in the last few days, but what we found by talking to other catalytic converter buyers was how unprotected they were. And a lot of large catalytic converter buyers, because they've been unprotected and they have so much supply without having it sold ahead of time, it's very difficult for them to be able to sit down and buy more product, not knowing where these markets are going to be. So at rrcats.com, we haven't had that problem. We've been continuing to quote actively every single day. We've been continuing to get material in and have it flow as quickly as possible. It's just not always the easiest thing to do because, as a buyer of metals, if you don't know where the metals are going to be the next day, how do you buy it in a way that you're not going to lose money? We know a lot of people that unfortunately lost not even tens, but hundreds of thousands of dollars with these metal prices eroding in the last few weeks. And while many people might say, well, who cares about them? They're making enough money. Well, I care about them because they employ dozens, if not hundreds of other people. And those people, if that money isn't flowing inside the corporation, how are they going to be able to pay their employees? they can't pay their employees, then they're not going to be able to keep the economy jump-started or get it re-jump-started in the coming weeks or months. So these are some of the things that I think about and look at when we look at these markets. So many people look at the corporations and the amount of money that they're worth, the amount of money that they make, and they see their stock being pulled back or their stock having problems once in a while. And oftentimes we hear, who cares? They make enough money, right? That is one way to look at it. And while you're not wrong, what you have to think of is, how is that going to trickle down to their employees, their team members, the families, the surrounding businesses? You have a large auto manufacturer that stops making cars. Well, how are the local delis going to be able to sustain, the coffee shops, even some of the new car sales? Now you don't have people out there buying cars because A, they might have lost their job and they're not working. B, there isn't new products and stuff coming out. So this domino effect is so much bigger than we could even think about. And I could sit here and do an hour and a half of domino effects of just the things that I think about of how this market is going to react. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try to focus on metal, but just know that this is going to be a slow burn with the markets coming back into a regular flow. Excuse me. Other things that we've been looking for, other things that we've been talking about. The aluminum market has been relatively slow. We haven't seen much of an increase or decrease, which, depending on your perspective, is good or bad, because with the markets really slowing down, we have not seen flow coming into the scrap yards like they were. So we're just kind of paying attention to that as close as we can. Other things that we're looking at when this is going to slow itself down and start to be able to move things in different ways. Things that we don't like that we've seen. We don't like different politicians that are second guessing what different U.S. governments are doing. This is a time for us to come together. I mean, look at how quickly the Congress and the Senate and the President came together to be able to put this bill in. That just shows that teamwork and health of the nation trump any type of political back and forth. And when you see these positive things happening, these are the things that we suggest that you look at, that you listen to, and that you really digest when it all comes to seeing how people work with each other. And that's how these metal prices are going to work. So many large scrap yards are having a large problem shipping things overseas because no one wants to accept anything. And if you don't want to accept anything, then how are scrap yards going to continue to build? They're not. And it's really, really difficult to be able to see these things happening and figure out when the steel market's going to recover, when the oil market's going to recover. When oil recovers, when will gas recover? How long is this going to take? How is this going to affect the scrap markets? Are they going to be buying at lower prices due to the massive losses that they're taking? Are they going to try to get aggressive for the short term, but we don't know where their employees are going to be? This is really going to be a very difficult thing to gauge in the scrap world. We've heard rumors that some of the larger steel shredders, that they might be closing their doors due to the massive amount of exposure they have with people working and things getting shredded. And it's just all types of what ifs right now. And instead of playing the what if game, let's go over what we know. We know that the U.S. is doing its best to stay as healthy as possible and not have happen to us what happened to Italy. Having a low percentage of people passing away is the key here. And what we've seen is our percentages have been right on par with South Korea's, which almost was considered the standard going into this thing. Knowing that we haven't even reached the pinnacle of the COVID outbreak reported cases, as more tests are created, distributed, and taken, you're going to have more and more people that are going to be coming on, getting tested, and then learning if they're positive or not positive. So it's really going to be a very difficult thing to figure out when this is going to break itself. A lot of people say 2 weeks, but 2 weeks might not be 2 weeks. It could be 3 weeks, it could be 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months. The level of uncertainty that we have right now is really, really large. and we just have to slow ourselves down. Think about health being number one. Our employees, our team members, our family, our friends, people in our surrounding areas, neighbors, staying healthy, keeping the flow moving as quickly and safely as possible. And these are going to be the things that help us move forward going into the next few weeks and few months. This is a little bit of a different report, other than being at home, just talking about things that it's going to be very difficult to move scrap is going to be tough, but we appreciate you tuning in. We thank you for tuning in. Today is Wednesday, March 25th, 2020. We hope not to do these at-home updates very often, as we would rather be at work moving metal. But if you have any questions and you watch this after the fact, feel free to ask your questions. We'll get you some answers spit as quickly as we can. This is Tom from iScrap. We appreciate the opportunity to have an ear to talk to and learn about the scrap metal industry. If you have any other questions, leave them. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thank all the healthcare workers in your areas, because they are doing so many good things for us. And if you have the ability to help someone that's close to you, stay 6 feet away, but make sure you're helping as much as possible. This is Tom from the iScrap app, and until next week, I'll scrap you later.